Welcome back, guys, to another roster overview. This one is on Dignitas. I've been waiting to see if they're going to announce their AD carry, if Sheep Esports is going to say anything about them, and it hasn't happened. So we're going to assume it is FBI because they have two imports. It has to be a regional AD carry. There's very unlikely they're going to pick up an NACL rookie. And Tomo's also been removed. So at that point, who else is there? FBI. Now, who's coming into the team? It's Photon as a returning player, and then everyone else is new. So we have XU coming over from DSG. We have Palafox coming from Shopify, FBI from 100 Thieves, and then we have Ignar, who pretty much was just a free agent. He's just been buying his time and waiting to see an opportunity open up. Now, the returning players, what are our thoughts on them? We have Photon, and this guy going into the LEC was honestly just electric. He was damn good. Obviously, it's an area that LEC teams kind of struggle in, having good top laners, and generally, he really did perform well. And sure, you could say that some of his performances took a dip over time, but honestly, I think that's just because of the environment and the players he's playing around, because he is a very capable player. I highly doubt he just regressed just because he himself is getting worse. No, I think he just needs the right environment, the right setup. He even talked about when he was on Dignitas coming in, that it was very hard to be positive. He felt like no one was really being positive on team. There wasn't good energy. And if you're the only guy, if you're the new guy coming into the team and that's how it is, it can be kind of hard to jolt everyone out of it and shake them up, especially if everyone thinks the season's just doomed. And at that point, it's just well, I guess we're just going to play for ourselves and play for our future careers here. So I think we need to give leeway for Photon, coming into this year, especially because of actually this signing here. Swiffer, their previous coach, he's a Korean coach, he's well regarded on strategy and individual tactics, improving players, improving talent, but he's not really known or good at actually bringing a team together, creating cohesion, synergy. And so because of that, bringing a guy in who's more aligned to helping with that is a better bet. Especially if they're going to be a pretty low number of staff, it's probably usually better to have a guy who's like this more so than a strategy-based guy, because, the team environment, if you can maintain it for the entire year, especially through those losses, is going to be a lot more beneficial than having a strategy guy just saying, I improved this guy, his laning a bit, and the rest of everyone didn't really work well together. So this is a good hire. And this hopefully will boost up Photon's capabilities, going forward. XU, he's coming off DSG stint. They did pretty well. He played with Dark Wings. The main thing for him is just that I always found XU to be, I guess you want to say, predictable. I feel like he has a pretty good set of starts going into the game because he can follow a game plan, and then as the game steadily breaks apart and more variables, right, like the variables increase, as the game goes forward or something happens, I feel like his performance will go down and he won't be able to adapt nearly as well as compared to other junglers. And of course, we have his team fighting and execution that at times is just pretty flat, which is not ideal. So as a jungler, it's not he's just okay, you're not really depending on this guy to carry any games. You're not really depending on him to lead really any games. He's just you get what you get, kind of thing. And coming from Shaden, I'm not really big on Shaden either. I feel like XU probably gives a bit more consistency on what you're gonna get, whether it's the good and bad. It's more consistent compared to Shaden. Yeah, Shaden has the occasional pop off game, but generally I feel like he's just been pretty flat for the time he's been in LCS. And I mean, I definitely expect a lot better from him, you know, especially for like so long people were saying like, oh shit, like this guy's super good, you know, he can do big things, and then like just literally does nothing. And don't get me wrong, it's not like his teams were like really the best again to set him up, but I don't know, you know, in the end of the day, like an ideal jungler, you know, yes, you're not going to be able to do as much as you want with bad laners, but you should be able to have a similar pattern of figuring out what to do, what is the best thing in your mind, in your game to even follow if that's the case, and that didn't really happen. So, do I like the change? It's fine. You know, I don't mind them going a different direction off Shaden. We go into Palafox off Keen. You know, Keen, he's the same way, not like the same way in like as XU, but I felt like Keen was pretty. He just had some pretty good games, honestly, coming around at times. And I felt like he was pulling Dignitas' corpses as well at times, which was great to see. You know, like he definitely have some big impact plays, which is ideal for a team that is slouching. You know, you need someone to kind of get things going. And going from that to Palafox, who is on a big downward trend. I mean, he is not playing well. He has like maybe a good game. Like maybe another good game. But other than that, like his laning phase is like pretty weak. Team fighting, kind of weak. Side laning, kind of weak. Like it just doesn't really feel like there's a lot going for him. And I don't really feel like the burning passion from this guy. I don't really feel like he's playing the game that much or thinking about the game as much as he could. And the funny thing about that is this guy is smart, by the way. Like, if he really wants to and, like, commit to it, as far as I know and what I've heard, Palafox is a pretty smart player. When he literally when he wants to be, because he's a smart individual. It's just his own habits and, like, you know, how he goes about practicing and, like, his commitment just isn't as much there. And so, I mean, we'll go into the cons with the team like I always do, because I actually don't want to go straight into that yet. But yeah, this is not like you're not like enthusiastic about getting this guy on your team. Like you kind of just got him because you got him. And they had some other options. You know, I'm pretty sure they went for Toasty, but either Toasty decided not to go with Dig, or because he went with the G2 tier 2 team, or, you know, I don't know, maybe they just preferred Palafox over Toasty in the end of the day. And then I don't even know who else there really is on the market. Like there's oh god, what's his name? The Luminosity mid laner. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Like I've literally faced this guy a bunch of times, but that guy is like oh so fine. It's just like and he's probably a better fit in a way. And honestly, let me just look it up real quick, because it probably will help. Oh, Insanity. Yeah. So Insanity, honestly, I think the only reason why they ended up going with Palafox over Insanity is just that sometimes Palafox will have higher highs compared to Insanity. But the reality is that Insanity is more consistent compared to Palafox. So if you wanted something to like, if you wanted XU Insanity to just at least provide what they provide, and then everyone else like does their best to carry, that might have been a better avenue to go. But generally, not excited about this. FBI, you know, I guess they could have gone tactical as well. I don't know if that's the case again. I feel like tactical Ignar is a kind of weird combo compared to just going with FBI if he is like down to play. But going from Tomo was pretty flat in his overall play. You know, he had some hero moments across his time in LCS for sure. But definitely like in this last year with Dig and everything, there's just cases where like the laning kind of falls apart, especially when the team fighting aspect just falls apart and he's just kind of mis-executing on like, honestly, like just not really looking to carry the games at times. And you need that from your AD carry. Literally, you need that from your AD carry. And that's something that FBI will provide. You know, let's say this guy's laning it's just fine. It's okay. You know, I don't think FBI is like some grand like laner by any means. And obviously it's going to depend heavily on what his support can do, which we'll go into the pros about how that will go. But for sure, when it comes to his fighting, you know, I would say like he's not world's level. I don't think. Like obviously he kind of oversteps and everything like that. But he does try to have that impact, you know? Like, he does try to have impact in the fights and put his body on the line and draw attention and give space for other people to carry, which is going to be a big thing for Photon, because Photon now is going to have someone stepping up in that sense. Obviously, Keen was trying to do that, which was nice, but the environment was the greatest. And, of course, hopefully Palafox can do some stuff, because if he can't, then that's going to, yeah, be pretty rough. But generally, I think most people would be excited about having FBI, and it's good to have someone, especially coming from the 100 Thieves run, where it looked like a lot of them were really committed, like really committed on winning. Like I watched their faces when like those losses happen, and I still just have, what's his name? Dude, I'm forgetting everyone's name these days. The support, dude, I can't believe I'm forgetting all these names at this point. Ayla, dude, crazy. Ayla, I saw Ayla's face, and Ayla honestly looked so pissed. He looked like there was just like all this regret going through his face, and just thinking like absolute disbelief that they lost. And I want to see that. Like, I want to see someone who's like really driven to like actually win. And like it seemed like that squad had that thing going for them. So FBI will have some of that, and he will put up a good fight, and so that's really ideal for the team to have. I'm sure Photon will do the same thing, so now we got at least 2 players on the team who's going to do that. And finally, we go into Ignar, who is just a massive upgrade over Isles, like across the board. Obviously, as you can tell, it's been a while since he's played, but Isles just played bad in lane, he played bad in fighting, he played bad in map movement. Generally, he was just not a good player. He was just on the team because he's, well, you know, a regional player. You know, he has the pass. But Ignar, you know, he's still not a good enchanter player, right? I mean, he's still going to be a melee heavy player, which it's fine. There's definitely been a huge surge of like Nikos and Bards and all this other like playmaking, which if he does play those, fine, because like they're also, again, he's like a playmaker, right? Like this is like what Ignar is literally known for, as being a playmaker. So if he has those in his pool, great. But he will provide, you know, a lot better flank opportunities and like hiding and just general timers. Like, it is, assuming all this has maintained inside of him and what he can provide the team, it's a great look. You know, like he will definitely be that kind of impact player. So you have Photon, you have FBI, and you have Ignar, who can be more consistent and well-versed impacting players. And that's where we come to the pros, which again is this team overall just has they have several impacting players. Impact players. They have 3. At the very least, they have 3. I know it's cut off a little bit. But that's like a big one to me. Because before, all they really had was 1, and that's not enough. So now that you have 3, or like, sorry, like 1.5 per se. And so now you have 3 guys who are able to commit and like do what they need to do. Side laning also got buffed, technically. You know, like side laning got buffed, which is also ideal for someone like Photon. And 80 carries, you know, down the line, Lakin, yes, they got buffed. It's not something that's going to be super consistent, but you do get a laning benefit if you complete the quest, which again, you know, the 2 strongest quests on completion are the side laners in theory, and that's where your strengths are. So the seasonal changes do help this team for sure. Of course, you know, it's a vet team, right? It's a vet team, and it's like real vets in a way. Like, I don't know if you want to count XU as a real vet, but you know, I would say Photon for sure, been tested enough on his own. Palafox, technically a real vet. FBI and Ignar. So, because like Shaden, you know, like, yeah, he's played a bit, but like again, I didn't really count him as a real vet. Keen, probably more of a real vet in a way. Tomo didn't really feel so much like that. Isles, not so much like that. So like, I feel like the general makeup of the team has more potential in that sense of being consistent, which is what, again, kind of something Dignitas really struggled on. I like their coach hire, and I think they can find more cohesion amongst themselves, which again, change the culture. Like that is something like. Some of this stuff looks kind of funny because it's like, oh, well, you're not really talking about the individual players and how much better they're going to be and everything. Well, I kind of covered that a bit, but the main thing Dignitas really struggled on was their team play. Like, are they going to be able to find ways to win the game? And the reality is, it's like they made changes that, like, yes, I'll admit, Jonathan kind of like just targeted energy players that he had when he was the GM on energy, which, safety, right? They're just looking for something that's consistent that works. Which, I mean, of course, if Dokla said yes, and like, let's say Ayla said yes, or whatever, like, yeah, this team could look even more complete in a way, but that's a whole other topic. But I would say, as a first go in a new general manager position, and you're trying to change the outlook of Dignitas, and they have tried to do this one time before, right, by doing a veteran squad with Jensen and Sven, which it was just okay, not really that great. I kind of like the approach of this more. Now the cons. The most and obvious one is that their mid jungle is just like not the best. This is probably going to be the scariest thing for them going into these games as a whole, in that if Palafox is not playing any better, and XU is just like, yeah, I mean, he's just playing as he is. Yeah, you're going to have issues. You're definitely going to have issues. And, I mean, you don't want that to happen. I mean, we've gotten some pretty good mids, coming in for the LCS. And the reality is, it's like, if you get taken over in this position, you're going to find a lot of troubles on, like, impacting the rest of the map. And of course, having higher impact mids, as you can tell when you watch guys like JoJo play or Quid, it's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. It can be hard to deal with. So that is the most obvious issue that this team will have, is playing like mid jungle as a whole. I also say that because of who their jungler is, and again, he's on the weaker side, I feel like Ignar will not get as much out of it as he can. I feel like, how do I word this? Ignar usage. That's. Hold on. Let me erase that. Ignar usage. Like, I'm telling you that he's going to have impact, and he will. But I also feel like possibly the way he's going to be used in the game is not going to be nearly as high of, like, I guess as high as it could be because of the mid jungle that they have. And that's one thing that may suck as well. The team as a whole, I mean, outside of mid jungle, again, I think they're all capable. Are these the kind of guys who talk it out? FBI, Ignar, Halifax definitely talks. I mean, I guess they will be pretty active in discussing the game in the end of the day. Outside of maybe top and jungle, I feel like mid and bot for sure will talk a bunch in the reviews, which helps propel the game. Because if you didn't have anyone like that, it'd be like kind of an annoying situation in the end of the day. And this actually might be the main cons I have with the team. Of course, we could also say, is Pala washed? Like, if that's the case, that's going to be bad. Ignar's return, hopefully, he's going to be good. Like, if he's not good, again, this is going to look pretty bad. Because we already know Photon and Ignar will bring it, right? XU is going to bring what he brings. But, like, if these two don't pan out, I mean, this team was going to look awful. The team will look awful for sure. And that's like if I'm saying both of them together pan out, right? And so expectations for this team, it's like, because their mid jungle is not that great, and we have teams like Sentinels and DSG who, to be honest, like their rosters are like competitive, I would say. Like, their rosters can definitely be competitive versus Dig. And so for now, like, my thought process is like the bottom 3 is probably like a, what do I want to say? It's probably like a 70% chance that they're going to be bottom 3, honestly. Like, it could be even higher than that. But for now, that seems pretty spot on into what you should expect for this Dignitas roster coming in. Good chance they're bottom 3, you know? Pushing into top 4, I mean, maybe they have like a 10 to 20% chance of doing that, you know, and then like a 10% chance, like being like the number 5, like being like 10% as well or something. Who knows? Like, some of these teams are so close together in terms of like talent and like having some differentials in terms of like actual high level talent in certain positions that my feeling is that, yeah, they're probably in bottom 3. They could reach top 4 depending on, you know, how good is Palafox, how good is Ignar, and then is that enough for like to carry through with like having XU? But if our expectations are real based on what we've seen, you know, it's still going to be a little messy. And I don't think they're going to be able to really upgrade much throughout the year because of the imports that they have. Or like the positions of where the imports are. And so, well, there's like one avenue I can think of. But generally, you know, I think it's like a fine go by Dig still. You know, like, yeah, like, again, you don't have a roster that's really going to push up as high as you want. And that's just because of like what you ended up choosing for your imports. And then also who did not want to join your team because of your history, which, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's just what Baker created. So I feel like if you're a Dignitas fan, I think you will have a fun year. I mean, I think this will be a more fun year compared to last year, even the year before at the very least. I think as a non-Dignitas fan, you're probably looking at this team and saying, well, there's players I like on the team, so that's always good, to be honest. And as a LCS enthusiast of like wanting to see high-level play, I think you're just going to get a mixed bag with these guys. So that's it, guys. That's the video.